So maybe you need that vehicle, but it doesn't work. So you gotta go search through his equipment. Meanwhile, that big gun that's hanging on the roof starts coming to life and starts shooting you up. So all sorts of fun things you could do in a video game. So some lights pouring in from the light shaft from the right. You can see on and off what that does. This brush is quite dangerous. This is a dodge brush, right? Only use it in situations like this where you want a quick rendering. Or normally it's much faster to paint, but in this case what I'm doing is I'm using this as a very quick way to indicate light. And you can see it's very soft, and it does exactly what it does. It brings the color to full saturation, which I explained about this probably in my second design cinema video, which is to be very careful with this brush, right? Because it tends to do it does stuff. It's not tends to. It does do stuff that in real life doesn't happen. When you shine an orange light onto a wall or something like that, it's not going to turn the wall into some bright oversaturated yellow. It just doesn't happen, right? The wall is going to have its own value mixed in with the color of the light, but it's not going to bring the saturation level up to 100% on the wall. But that's what this brush does. But it does it looks cool because it's high contrast. So in a quick jam, you can use it to do things exactly what you see in this tutorial right now, is to bring in this kind of lighting effect. But if you want to use it carefully, you have to erase, which you see here. Erase where the light does not touch. Because if you leave light in areas where the light cannot hit, which is the shadow areas, it doesn't look right. It's not effective because it's not correct. And you'll get that very bad airbrushed Photoshop effect, right? See, just by erasing it, at least this brush comes into play. It's a lot better than the raw form of it. Right? So I'm saying the light is coming from kind of the right light shafts. Erasing all those out, like the bed and the bed's shadow, those will not get hit by this warm light. Hopefully that makes sense. So this brush, we warn our students here as well. It's like the brush is really fun to use when you first find it, but you have to be very careful with it and control it. Once you control it, anything in Photoshop is cool. It's very easy to use. But if you don't, it'll give you the default Photoshop airbrushed, completely over airbrushed look very, very fast. And that's a waste because you're kind of destroying such a beautiful line drawing, especially if you have a line drawing that's tighter than the one I have here. The airbrush look could really mess it up, and it's much better to just leave it in line drawing form. So here I am adding just a few more sprinkles of that light. So this technique is very different than maybe some of the other ones you've seen, like the snow walker painting and things like that. As a designer or even an artist, you should have many different ways to create something. If you get stuck doing the same thing over and over, like the same process, it actually get quite boring doing it. So you should have many different solutions to the same problem. So this is just a different way of doing it. It's not a painting, but does it work? I think so in production. If you got more time, turn it into a painting. If you don't have enough time, like you gotta do 10 of these a day, this process you could use. Because you could do probably about at least 6-7 of these a day, because you have a photo plate underneath that cuts down half the perspective plotting time. So for this demo, I actually did 3 of these sets. This is just one of them, like in a whole series of them. Here's some shafts of light coming through to really give you that hazy, when you walk into a church, you have that kind of feeling. So in this case, it's all dirt and rubble that's kind of excuse me, are in the air. So just used a big soft airbrush and just dabbled in some fog and kind of just threw it in there. So you can see this little haze here, and that also helps line drawing in the back go away a little bit so it doesn't compete with the line drawings in the foreground. See? Now this is not fast forward, so if you want to watch it slower, just rewind back on YouTube. I guess it's the fastest way. So this image here is coming close to an end. A few more minutes on this, we have it. What I'm doing right now is painting local value. Local value is, which I explained in many of the other videos as well, is when an object has a base value that's not light or dark, right? It's like, for example, like a black keyboard versus a white keyboard. The base value of a black keyboard is already dark. So even if you put both of them in a lit situation, the keyboard, if you take a black and white photo of it, will always have a darker value because it's black, the color, you see. So that's what I'm doing here. So not every object is made of the same material. It's just so by simply applying a different value to certain things, you start to pull out certain objects and make it a little bit more believable, right? Because if you take a black and white photo, even if your table, there's probably something on your table that's going to have a different value, no matter what the lighting condition is. But if you treat everything as if it's made out of the same gray plastic material, then you're going to get something which looks quite fake. Okay. So like the bed sheets, for example, is a little darker bed sheet in this case, right? So it's a little darker than the bed around it receiving the light. So that's on the shadow, trying to fake, that those shadow of that awning kind of hitting the vehicle, right? To really push the feeding of light. Here I'm just painting some small detail stuff, because again, this is a quick finish look. Because in the same demo, I showed the students how to do the painted look. So this is just one look, just in case you run out of time, when you're working. So some displays, punch that gun up, some laser rifle thing that you don't want to mess with. See, so very little layers, barely any layers. I'm just organizing layers right here so you can turn on and off. Check value. So even in a quick thing like this, check your value. Make sure it reads. Even though it's not a painting, it's a line drawing painting, right? Still try to make read best as you can in black and white, because that means you'll read well when it's even if it's in color. Here I tint the image slightly. I don't think I like this, so I threw it away. Original plate, final original plate. Here I'm just kind of explaining to students how this thing works. You can see all the black and white images I have up. And now I'm going to get some textures from my texture library. You can see here I have thousands of textures. And I'm going to put some graffiti into this shot to further push that this world is destroyed and very abandoned. Right. So this guy's vehicle here, using the skew to SKEW to put the graffiti into perspective. I desaturate it down a little bit so that purple is not so strong. I copy and paste another one and kind of threw it around into just various places in the shot. If I have time, I'll get a bunch of real graffiti from all over the place so they don't repeat, right? So you can see here I'm trying to destroy the pattern so the human eye don't pick up the same pattern, right? The human eye is very good at picking repeating shapes, right? If you repeat something twice, 3 times, the general public to pick it up very, very quickly. So even in textures in games, right, when they reuse it, you can sometimes pick it up. So what you saw me do there with graffiti was I chopped it up a little bit, so you don't pick up the same pattern twice. Couple more highlights and we're pretty much done with this video. So anyways, just in case you finish right before I stop talking here. So hopefully next week I'll either show you this one continue to paint format, or we'll jump to something else. I'm not quite sure yet. Let's see how this one goes when we upload it. See if you guys enjoy something like this where it's seen drawn live, or maybe we do go back to the way how the PSD files were done, in which we just turn on and off the layers. So again, I apologize to you guys that I was quite sick today. Again, I'm feeling fine, mentally and everything. I'm not tired at all. It's just a coughing problem. So but hopefully next week we'll do something fun. This thing's wrapping up, so hope you guys enjoy this fast forwarded tutorial, but at least you guys can see it being drawn live. So continue sending those questions and comments or whatever you guys want to see, and we'll get to those. So thanks a lot, and bye bye.